Okay, so here we are playing Fossil still. I failed at my puzzle making ability. I don't remember these being terribly easy to do, but I didn't try all that hard, I guess. Most of the pieces are off the board. Most of the players have collected them, but we've only had one set actually show up. It doesn't really seem to matter too much the order you get things in. I mean, I guess conceivably you could fall down to the point where you make no more points, especially if you spend more than a point or two on an action. One good reason not to spend. I remember somebody in the first game, the only time I've played it happening that way, where somebody actually paid too much at one point or another thinking things were valuable and ended up locked out of being able to even move. Largely, players are trying to collect their specific sets. Poor Green is in this hapless position where he's got a little bit of everything, and we know he's going to do poorly, I think. The question, though, becomes, if you are collecting sets, how big is it? You know, is it better to have a couple medium sets, or do you want a large one? I think because of the multiplicative effect, you want a large one. But how much do you want it? You know, it's kind of the value. If you can't get it for one, how much is it worth paying extra to get an extra piece in a set or whatever? That's where the hard decisions come in. All right, well, I'll keep going. White's got an interesting play, which he's going to take. He's going to pay one, take the last piece here, and he's just knocked a stone out of the game. He's not in the lead, he's nowhere near the lead, he's in last place. So you might say, well, doesn't he want things to keep going? Probably, but what he's seeing is he's reducing everyone else's decision-making ability. Of course, if it means that he doesn't get his sets out, then he's screwed. And there's a good chance of that. Red is well in the lead and would love to end things here. So yellow just played and took a piece with his stone, with the stone play. He had basically an option of whether to come down into this area to play or play in this area. He took a stone that sets him up where he's at least got a chance of reaching his space, or a better chance. Unfortunately, he also set things up so that blue can close out his set. That's going to happen. Throw some quick scoring into place, but blue has the advantage to trade first. Now he could trade with this guy, 3 and 2. The 3 would be a red, which he doesn't really want to give up. Who else is sitting on blues? See, this is the hard call. He could break up his stars to get a 2-point blue. That's not terribly bad. Or he could buy a 1-point blue and get points. So he's going to do that. He's going to trade a fish to this guy, because he'll get more points for somebody who doesn't have anything at all. So let's score this. Most of the players don't have any of these. So he has 5 times 2 is 10 points for yellow. Yellow goes up to the 40. He has 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 times 7, which is a horrible number for me. I believe that's 56. Wow. 21 makes 67, which should be here. Right, wait, 56, 77, sorry. I fail at math. And now he gets 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 from each player who doesn't have any. So that's green loses 7, putting him down to 12. Red loses 7, putting him down to 48. Black loses 7, 5, 7. And white loses 7, 5, 7. And how many 7s is that? That's 4 7s, 28 more points for blue. 77, 90, 105, I believe, which gets him one of these counters, indicating that he's got an extra 100 points. And now I get to get rid of this set. And that was a huge scoring round for blue, one that may or may not have happened, depending on where the counters went. We come to the black player, and he has one of those decisions that's kind of tough. I've decided what I'm doing, but as you get towards the back end of the game, the bottom of the game, it becomes harder and harder to try to make sure that your sets actually end up getting scored. And this is where the game is kind of fun. So now he looks and says, the only way, I'm not going to win, but the only way I can be in this at all is if I get my stars and these S's scored. And that's going to be just about impossible because we've got pieces just divided all over the place. His way that he's going to do that, he can move here, but that could get too close to ending things. And if blue can end things, they definitely will. So he's going to move up here for $2. This doesn't directly help him in terms of the scoring. It's going to open up a scoring round for those spades. Now, his own pieces, whether this gets scored or not, hard to tell. But he wants to pick up a 1-point spade from someone. Blue's in the lead. This is yellow's big score, though. It's a hard call there. He's going to pick on blue and grab that. And now we score the round. Okay, so green pulls 2. Yellow, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 times 5 gets 30, which is a pretty good amount of points. Blue gets 3. Red nothing. Black gets 2 times 2 is 4. And white gets nothing. Now let's look at what people are going to owe yellow, because he's got the leading points on this. He's got 5 points each, and there's 2 people without. 2 people without. Red and white each lose 5. We can see how you can get knocked out of the game here, right? I mean, yeah, you could come back in, but that's 10 more points for yellow, putting him pretty deeply ahead of everyone except blue, who's got that 100-point bonus. And we'll pull these out, and I'll make another little fossil out of them. Whose turn was that? That was black's turn, which means it'll be white's turn next. Well, I should just keep videoing except for my little fossil thing. On white's turn, he had hard choices here. He's sitting on these little sonar things and these spirals. Those are the things he needs scored to get anywhere in value. And the sonar things are here and here, and that's going to be tough to get both of them. What about the spirals? The only one's here. If that gets taken, the game ends. But it's all he can really see, so he's going to take this, because if he slides over here and it comes down, I mean, everybody's going to start scoring. His only hope is really get some points, not be in last place anymore. You clearly can fall behind in this if you don't have the big sets. So this guy has enough power on the board that he might actually be able to overcome blue. But the chances of him scoring all that is almost nil. So let's go to green. Green's kind of the doofus with nothing. And honestly, I think he just wants out of the game. He's looking at the board and he's saying, I can't score all my shit. I'm going to end it. I know some people don't like to play things that way, but personally I feel like if you're not enjoying your situation, if you have no chance of winning, and you can get an advantage like this, you might as well go with it. Alright, so let's see what he wants to do. Now this is the last scoring. So he wants to grab himself a spiral And he kind of wants the biggest one he can get, because everything else is worthless. So he's going to look for a 3-point spiral. This is the best he can do. And I don't think there's one out there. He has the only one. Okay? So a 2-point spiral it is. Well, that means he's not going to take from blue. But what's cool about this is that he takes from the guy who has the lead in spirals and ends up grabbing the lead himself. Okay, so let's score this one. He has 2, 5, 6, 7, 8 times 4 is 32 points. 32 and 13 is 45. No. He gets 1. Red gets 1. Now taking a 1-pointer would have been a bad move from most people, like taking from him and making him not have one, because it would leave him in the lead and get the points for that. So he had to take from the leading guy. Nothing, and 1, 2, 3 times 3 is 9 for white. 9 and 2 gives him 11. All right, now the bonus points. They're only 4 points each. Yellow loses 4, dropping him down to 76. Blue does not. Red does not. Black loses 4. Okay, and that sounds like 8 more points for green. Which, you know, when you can't win anyway, at least he's maximizing his points, I think, by doing this. All right, well, now we have the special scoring round at the end of the game, which is going to be no trades, and there are less pieces out, but so less points get produced, but we get to score each one. And let me remove the one I just scored. And it doesn't really matter what order we're going to do these in. So I'll do little S's. And what do we have here? Okay, there's no trade here, so he gets 3 times 2 is 6 for green. One for red. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 times 4 is 28 for black. Puts him up to 33. I don't like how the board's scoring this sort of swinging around thing. I guess you can follow it, but the lines aren't clear enough for me. I know it's prettier that way and all. And this guy has none. But we still get the penalties, and they're going to go to black in this case. Black has 4 of them, so yellow loses 4. Blue loses 4. And it looks like white loses 4. And what was that? 1, 2, 3, 4 fours is 16 for black. 16, and he's at 33, which puts him to 49. Okay, and that got rid of the S's. Now we go to, let's do another one. How about sonars? Green has a sonar. And we have our leader in sonars here. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 times 6 is 60 points for white, which puts him to 67. Now, one thing where the order would matter, except its final turn of the game, you got to make sure you keep people so that they don't go below 0 during this round, I think. It's not specified in the rules, but it seems like this should all be done simultaneously. Okay. So, who doesn't have sonars, and they're each paying 3, 6 to white. Yellow doesn't have any. That's 1. Blue doesn't have any. Uh-oh. They're down to 100. They lose their chip. Blue doesn't have any. That's 2. Red doesn't have any. That's 3. Black doesn't have any. That's 4. 4 sixes is 24 more points for white. 67 and 24, 80, 91. Wow. White's doing kind of nice now. So you see, it's not like your stuff doesn't get scored at all at the end, but... And that's kind of a pity. I think it would be a more interesting game maybe if it didn't, because then there's more control over it. Just a thought. Okay, let's do these spermies. 5, 6, 7 times 3 is 21 for green, which puts him up to 81. 2, 4 for yellow. Nothing for blue. Nothing for red, nothing for black, 1 for white. Okay, and the people who don't have them are going to be paying green. So that's 3 for blue that go away, 3 red go away, and 3 black go away. And that is 9 more points for blue. Blue's at 97, that puts them at 106. And they get the marker back. And we remove the spermies. Okay, and how about fish? Green gets a point for fish. Red's big on fish. 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 times 5 is 35 points for fish. That puts him up to 70. And white has nothing. Okay. He's got 5 chips. So yellow owes 5. Blue owes 5. Black owes 5. That's 15 points for red. That's up to 85. And there go fish. And last but not least, our stars. Blue's got 6 points in stars. Red's got 1. Black's got 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 times 5 is 40 points. Who doesn't have any? Green loses 5. Yellow loses 5. And white loses 5. And that's 15 points for black. So there we have our final scores. Blue's in the lead at 107. Black comes in second at 90. Who did we think was doing the poorest? Who triggered this all off? Green triggered it all off and ends up here. Now, I think it would have been a much more interesting game without that final scoring round. I can't give much of a review on this, so I'm just going to do it as an add-on to this video. Hey. As someone whom one of my worshippers in denial refers to as a fossil. Alright. That's what we just played, and, you know, oddly enough, I still enjoyed it. It's not obviously not a solitaire game. I will probably never play it again in solitaire except to have produced this video. But I still really get a kick out of the game. I don't know if it's just these stones. I love these things. I don't remember what they're called, but I used to have one on my dragon pendant. And then I think I still have it kicking around somewhere. But in and of itself, the components, these three little fossil pieces that, you know, while you're not playing, you can sort of try to make little puzzle pieces out of. The board is very pretty, it's functional, except for the one thing that I mentioned, the track confuses me a bit. You know, with multiple playings, I'm sure that will clear up. The rules, good. I mean, you know, it's a simple game. What the hell, there's not much left. Hey, they give solutions to the puzzle here. Alright. Why do I like this? I mean, what is there to this to like, other than the components? Very, very fast play. I think the game becomes a much more interesting options at the end if you get rid of the final scoring round. I've never played it that way, but immediately the choices of where to move your stones based on that become maybe less subtle. Maybe there's a much, much more obscure strategy in it towards the end. But I like lack of subtlety. It's why some people are saying I don't like 1835, but I like 1830 or 61 or whatever. The bigger ones where I can really hit it someone hard. I like the idea of, oh, you're not going to score all those points you've been collecting all game. That's kind of what would provide a big kick for me in the game. It's a fairly short game. It's got to be a half hour to an hour max. Great filler type material. Moves really, really fast conceivably. I mean, yes, someone could play it and sit there and figure out the value of every possible move. You could min-max the whole thing. There's almost no question about that. I think a computer program could handle this game very, very easily in the sense of solving. See, there are still a lot of moves and a lot of ply to go out, but that's clearly against the game. You know, if you start playing with people who are thinking that hard, I think it's time to put a time limit on turns. But if it's played as a you go type of scenario, I think it's a fun little game, and I would rather not put a time limit on it for the simple reason that when you start putting time limits on games, you remove the fun factor from them. It becomes serious business, and you know, I want to play this the same way I would play a game of Oh Hell in cards, where, yeah, you might stop and think for a little bit, but mainly you're playing to have fun in the sense of, you know, you're hanging out with people doing something simple and just having a good time. And if people are taking games like this that seriously, I don't want to be around them, you know? And I would be tempted to at times, in the wrong groups. If people are really serious about the game, I would get, unfortunately, more serious because I meld into that to the point where the analysis paralysis would definitely set in. But if I'm sitting with a bunch of people who are having a good time more than trying to win, then I think this is a great game for what it is. I can't really, you know, I can't really put my finger on what I really like about this because you know, it's so much against the things that I tend to really like. I tend to like something with a good story. This is a pure abstract game with sort of this vague theme added on. But I mean, the theme is just there for color. It's like Masterpiece. But it's done well in the sense that that color is very visually attractive to me. Unlike, say, modern art, where I don't want to play the games largely because it's just ugly. I mean, They picked the butt ugliest art in that game. I don't care whether it's a good system or not. It's a horrible game for the fact I would rather have it have no art on it than what it does. Well, with this, I feel like I've got pretty little pieces that I can kind of enjoy when I'm not trying to make up my mind on something. I can fiddle around with them. I've got these really pretty stones that are just a pleasure to touch. It's a nice experience, and this would definitely be up there in my, hey, if I need to, play something before somebody gets here, or hey, somebody's out on a food run or whatever. When we're lower on players, throw this out. Or end of the night, everybody's brain dead. Anyway, I gave this like a 4 when I rated it. I think I'm gonna up it to about a 6 because as a game I don't respect it terribly much, but I think it's kind of cool, and I would probably have more fun than the rating would imply.